Hello, everybody. My name is Skyly Haramoto. I have done my capstone project, not done it, but I have started my capstone project on the Senecio flaccidus. My big question that I'm trying to answer is if the Senecio flaccidus has any medicinal properties. I realized early on into diving into this question that sometimes in research you can't just ask a question and then go forth and answer the question. You really have to do some background knowledge so that you know what you are actually studying and what you're actually getting into. And that's kind of what happened to me. And I was looking up all the medicinal properties and realized that there isn't any articles out there about it. Nobody's really done it before. Nobody's looked at it in a specific species. I think that people have looked at the compounds in other species in the same genus, but not this one. And so then I had to take a step back, like a step backwards, and figure out what this species really was and kind of decipher this species from some of the other species in the same genus. And that's kind of where I started, but I originally came up with this topic because I read somewhere and my mom was telling me that the Navajo use it in their tribe for a couple of different things. They use it in ceremonies, they burn it in ceremonies, as well as they put it on their tongues when they have a headache and it makes their headache go away, and they apply it topically when they get a cut or a sore or something like that. And I've read a couple of posts about this, and I've talked to a couple Navajo tribe members, and they have said that they use this plant all the time, but there is no scientific article really about it that I can find, or not a good one for what I'm what question I'm asking is. And so it's kind of been hard to find articles and things like that to go off of, and I'm just honestly kind of starting in the dark, but I'm really excited to see where it goes. But I'm kind of going to break this up into the research that I've done so far, as well as the research that I hope to do in the future to answer this question. First of all, the first kind of thing that I did was obviously create my project idea. And then I gathered the research that I could. I found the original description of it. And then I had to figure out, again, how you decipher each species from each other. And so I read the whole key off of a Utah flora, but the key was really complex and pretty hard to understand. And so I ended up translating the whole key from the original key by Stanley Welch into my own key for Iron County. And that's kind of what is on this poster right here is my interpretation or simplified taxonomic key for the species. But that's kind of the main project that I did as well. Is I transformed this whole key so that I knew what I was studying, because the Senecio flaccidus and the Senecio spartoides come off of the same couplet in the key. However, there is research done on the flaccidus. If cattle eat it, it really damages up their liver and they usually end up dying, but there's not a whole lot done on spartoides. And so when I go and do my collection, I need to be careful on what species I'm collecting and make sure that I'm collecting the right one. So I did a whole taxonomic key simplification, and then I don't have anything put together quite yet, but I just barely finished up my niche model. I'm writing a paper on it right now. But I finished up a niche model, which is using a coding program. I used RStudio, but I coded a map for where the Snesiophlastus is found, or where occurrences have been found. And so I pulled data from GBIF about all of the current occurrences of the Snesiophlastus. And then in R, I was able to like conglomerate a couple of maps relating elevation and precipitation, temperature and climate kind of. I did all those together so that I could predict where the Senecio should be found if it was according to the conditions where it is found, if that makes sense. So I pulled up all the occurrences and marked out plots onto a map of where the occurrences have been found, or where they've done collections and placed in the herbarium. And then the map kind of shows where on this map is the same kind of geological or ecological niche is what we call it. And so that's kind of what I just am barely finishing up and am writing my paper on. But that was really cool. It was really cool to kind of know what this original plant is and the actual basis of this plant and where it came from, not just finding something and answering a question, actually knowing what I am doing and knowing the entire story of this plant, which has been really cool. And then figuring out where it's from, where it's located, where you can find it. And my next kind of portion of this is to go out and do collection. It's about to bloom this month and next month, and so I'll be pretty heavily doing some collections, and hopefully I'll be able to bring it back to the lab and do some chemical compound analysis in order to get kind of a view of what compounds are found in here, and then I can relate the compounds to medicinal properties that the compounds have. Like if this compound is found in the plant and it relates to anti-inflammatory, then I'll be able to scientifically correlate the plant to the medicinal value. So hopefully that's where my project goes. I love how interdisciplinary it's been. I've been able to work with so many professors and parts of all different sciences, if that makes sense. And then I never know where the research is going to take me. I might take a whole different perspective of it as I keep going, and I'm sure I'll come up with a lot more questions that I'll be able to ask myself. And I hope to kind of just go with the flow, see what happens, see where it takes me. I've already been able to meet so many people, like Navajo tribe members, or be able to have the opportunity to contact Paiute members to see if they use it in their tribe. And so just making connections and really seeing where this project can take me has been really exciting. And so I hope to eventually end up figuring out if it does have any medicinal properties or not. But that's pretty much everything. Thank you so much for watching.